welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about where to place your solar panels on a budget. So in this case, we're going to be looking at a tighter area, not an open field, where you actually can put your panels, and you're going to be like stuck not being able to do all the special angles you want all the time. And I'm going to kind of show you what I have set up here, whether you're renting a home or you own a home or it's a temporary setup. This will kind of be a video for you to get some ideas that might help you down the road. So if you're in an area where it's really tight, you have a small backyard, a side yard, but you're getting sun in there and you're trying to save on your power, then follow me through this and I'll show you what I did. So first thing, let's make sure we have our solar panel disconnect switch. That's going to be from the panels to the disconnect through the wires to your controllers, however you have that set up after the disconnect switch. But it's going to be your panels, wire those in like I did here to that disconnect switch, and then that'll go to your controller. So we want to make sure we have that control. That's our safety switch. Make sure we have that not directly running into our controller from our panels. Alright, now we have our panels. In this case I have 10 panels. That's what I opted for. Sometimes different companies have a minimum order that you have to do. So in this case I did 10 panels, bifacial. Let's start installing them. Alright, so I unboxed mine, unwrapped them, started laying them out on the side, in this case where I have a little bit of room. I laid them against my trailer, my truck, wherever I could get an angle so I could actually start plugging the cables in and start receiving power, and actually same time testing the panels, make sure they're all good so there's no defective ones, and then try and figure out the angles that I wanted to use in this case, because remember they're going to be fixed. So in this case, on this one, I actually tilted it up. I was trying different angles, so I used bungees to basically bungee the panel to the trailer. That seemed to help hold it up, especially if the wind was blowing around. It doesn't all of a sudden knock your panels down. Remember, a lot of they're glass usually, and you don't want to crack the glass, because remember, this is your investment, and the whole point of this is to save your money. And so you can try different ways of securing them, and at the same time different angles. Like I leaned it against my fence, bungeed it to the fence to hold it in place as well, and then you can actually run your cables however you're gonna configure those things, run them to that disconnect that I just showed you. That way you can turn it on and off as you're testing things out and hooking them to your controller and seeing what kind of power you're receiving, and then you know where to kind of place them to get the best return, or at least try to get the best return. So in this case, this is how I have it, and I thought I would try the fence post way of doing it, the chain link fence. So I dug the holes, put the concrete in. So don't make this mistake. This actually sucks to do it this way. They're not sturdy enough to hold the panels, especially in the wind. They'll start bowing and bending, twisting a little bit. So don't do this method. Go with a different method on way to do it. But the reason I did this, I thought I would swing it up and make an awning. So where I actually put these other panels. So at the time with that idea, it was to make basically the top like a hinge, and where the panels would be like the chain link part of the fence. So I was going to raise it up and use it as an awning in the summer when we almost need the panels flat, and that's and then prop them up. But that's not realistic, so I found that out. So don't go with the chain link fence. Save your money. I would recommend going with the channel. The strut, different names they're calling it, but it looks like this. They're different sizes, but then just sink that into the ground where you want it. So this is where I was changing over from the chain link fence posts. As you can see, it's bowing with the panels on there. So the idea what I had is a good idea. I just didn't have the right components to make that solid. So this one I actually dug down, put the channel in about the pivot point of the panels. I also used this some shelving brackets to actually frame the panels, and this is just another view so you can see the bar going across. I actually put little brackets on there to swing them up, and two of them together, one is doable as far as moving it, two gets a little heavy and don't need to hurt ourselves doing this. So I like the idea. I just didn't have the the right components to do it that way. So in this case, I actually put the pivot point with the channel, put that in the ground, a couple feet, put some concrete in there, and then I ended up locking the panels about in this angle, a little bit steeper, but this angle I could actually work with and was getting some power from it. So in the other ones, I'm actually going to tilt it back as much as possible. So I actually removed that rail at the top, so I just had the pivot point, and then I'm actually tilting it back as close as I can to the house to get me that angle, preferably over 30 degrees. You know, if I can get to 60 degrees, sometimes that's okay. But depending on your yard and how you're setting things up, you might end up doing this all year long and you're not going to get as much power as you're wanting, or you can kind of come up with different options and different ways to do it that you can actually get the right tilt. And so where some parts of the year you're actually getting good power and some you're not because of the angle. But this is what we have to work with, and then I'll show you how I started adding ideas. And then for this other panel, so I have 5 on one circuit, 5 on another, or line, however you want to look at it. This one because I have an awning to the right, I actually tilted this one out a little bit, and this area is facing south. So I have actually one post is coming off of there, and it's about say 12 inches off the house, and the other one to the right is about 17 inches roughly. So there's about a 5-inch difference of it tilting towards the southwest direction a little bit, and that seems to do really good as far as power. So then for the other 5 panels, I had a bright idea, and sometimes you want to be able to be creative and come up with different options. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I'm going to show you how I did the panels on the fence. This is an idea I had. So I actually just took some pieces of scrap. I had an old little pulley. My idea is to actually use the pulley as the tilting mechanism, and of course the bracket would be where the panel sits, so to give us our different angles. So trying different ideas, and I thought, well, maybe I could use a rotor for an old car or something just to keep the budget under control. But you go to the junkyard and they're kind of wanting a lot for those things, and we don't need them for a car, we need them for this project. So until I come up with some other ideas, this is still in the planning stage, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. So this is basically how I would use it to tilt, because my idea was to have it on the fence, but yet if I needed to move a vehicle, or a windstorm or tornado, wherever you live is coming through, you could actually lower those down and secure those on a hinge of some sort, lock them to the fence, or if you want to move your vehicle back and forth because you're limited on space. I was trying to come up with a method that would work. Like I said, if you have any ideas, please leave a comment, and that will help everybody else as well. And so this is kind of how my idea was, and I'm still working on this, and we'll see where that goes in the future, and I'll show you how I set it up initially for now until I can get this figured out. So when I'm figuring this, I'm figuring about 3 to 4 feet apart, dug down using a post hole digger or whatever you have. Put the same kind of channel, the thicker channel, down in the ground, kind of level it up, and then that'll be your spacer. And then you're going to put the panel in between those 2 points, and then kind of figure out your bracket. So that's the dirt piled up there where I had actually already poured concrete, let it dry. I don't have it touching the fence, but it's right next to the fence. That way you're not putting all your weight on the fence and tear your fence down, especially if you have neighbors. You want to keep it isolated and keep it on its own, independent of itself. So you can see the brackets I use, different scraps or different pieces of the channel to come across. This is temporary, but I want to make it solid to where it's not moving around. This thing's been holding up really good, and I have it lower than the fence, or right maybe slightly above the fence in some areas. And you see the spacing I have between them. It's probably about 6 feet, where the angle of the sun won't cause one panel to shade the other panel. So they're a distance apart from me. That works there. So then I have the brackets. You can kind of see the angle that they are. This is the angle that's been working for me the best. It's not the ideal angle because I want to be able to move things, back and forth, and that'll come later on a project. So this is kind of how it looks when you're looking at it. You see how the panels are there, and wouldn't it be nice to be able to tilt them up and fold them down when there's a storm or something else, or if you have to move a vehicle around just to give you extra space. At the same time, you see the lift there, and that's a different project that's in the process now for robotics. If you're interested in that, leave a comment. Let me know if you're interested in it, and I'll show you kind of the plan on that and using this lift to transport those around. So, all right, and then since the panels are on the other side and I have my walkway or driveway to go across, you don't want your cables just sitting on the ground loosely. So I got these speed bumps that actually open up, and you actually drop your cables inside of them, close the little yellow flap down, and that way you don't tear your cables up and they look nice, and the truck or trailer or whatever you have will walk over them and nobody's going to trip over your wires. So this is just what that looks like. It actually worked out pretty good. I'll leave information in the description in case you're interested in it, and then you can add this to your setup. They weren't actually that bad in price either. They're good and they seem pretty good quality. So hopefully that helps. So now I have everything wrapped up. These are the panels on the side that are 5 by themselves. And you see that white plastic corrugated material. I put a couple rocks on to keep it down. Because my panels are bifacial, I'm trying to get the reflection off of that into the back. And it actually has helped just this, compared to last year, is actually improved my intake per day like 3,000. It actually went from about 17,000 watts with my system in this configuration here and the ones on the fence to just putting this down, went from 17 to 20,000. So a huge difference just on this. I was actually surprised just this little bit at this time. Also, having a little bit of dust over the top seems to help with the reflection as well. Last year, like I said, that's probably helped between the white corrugated material and a little dusting. Must have some reflection issue that helps take care of that or get you more power. So this is kind of how it looks behind, where I have the brackets, these different components, some bolting. I'll leave some of that in the description if you want to check it out. And then I have my cables running over using zip ties, coming all the way down, and then run across the ground. Like I said, this cable, actually you can bury it on its own. I just have to do a little bit behind the air conditioner compressor area. And then this is kind of how it looks. So you have this panel is turned sideways. That's where I get the optimal sun. And then all the way down, and you kind of see it's tilted. And I'm still configuring how to maximize everywhere I can for the power to keep that going, because remember, the more power we generate, more power we can use, the less we have to use grid power, reduce our bill down, and get your money back on your panels. You know, you paid a lot of money. So hopefully this information is helpful. Please like and subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and even your suggestions. We can kind of help all each other out, and if you like the idea of robotics integrated with our power system, let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.